Hey, everybody. We are the Non-Prophets. Here once again, not to tell you what's going to happen in the future. I'm your host, Jeff D. Today's co-hosts are Keryn Glasser.
Hi.
And Denis Loubet.
Hello.
Our producer is Russell Glasser.
Hi there.
And today's opening music was Knuckle Down by XTC. We are live June 21, 2003. Happy summer solstice out there, everybody.
Woohoo.
Why are we not having a party?
Well, because the summer solstice is not as exciting as the winter solstice.
Says who?
Me. Because it means the days are now getting shorter instead of longer, and that's not something to celebrate.
But, it's just the movement of the Earth around the sun.
But I like daylight.
I mean, so?
I'm solar charged.
And?
I can't function when it's dark out.
You're photovoltaic or something?
When the sun comes up, she starts. When the sun goes down, she stops.
Pretty much,
true?
Yeah. Which has been really screwy now that the sun's going down at like 9:30 at night.
Yeah.
I never stay up that late.
Then how do you know the sun goes down?
Okay, look, the thing is, I have always been of the opinion that the whole solstice thing is nothing but a lame excuse for a party. Which is fine. If you want an excuse for a party, a lame one is as good as any other.
You think that's lame? You should try Christmas.
Yeah, but my point is, this is an atheist show. This is an atheist show, right? I mean, we, if anybody, should be honest with ourselves that really there's nothing special about frickin' solstices. They're just particular configurations of the Earth and the Sun.
Well, then why don't we just have everybody over right now during the show? They can just hop in their cars right now, come over, and we'll just have a party on the show.
I don't have the authority to make that happen, but if you want to get the authority to make that happen, then we can do that. No, but I mean, why not? Why the hell not make the summer solstice as much of a big, excuse for a party as an excuse for as big a party as the winter solstice? We don't really frickin' care. Medieval peasants who lived by the motion of the sun and the lengths of the days and all that crap, those guys cared. I don't frickin' care. What difference does it make to me? None. Okay. In other news,
just in.
We are live at the moment. If you're listening to us now, which is like 2:00 Saturday, June 21, right? 2003. If you're listening to us at this precise moment, you're hearing us live. Otherwise, you're listening to a tape. But we go out live roughly every other week from www.atheistnetwork.com. You can go to their website and click on the audio stream and hear us live from 2 to 3:30 when we're going out live. And also during our live show, if you want to jump into the chat room, there's a link for that as well. You can hobnob with other atheists while we're doing the show. Comment on what we're saying, chat amongst yourselves, and we monitor that, and every once in a while there's something interesting enough for us to actually mention on the air. Otherwise, you can listen to past episodes of the show by going to the Atheist Community of Austin website at www.atheist-community.org and clicking on the Atheist Radio link, I think it's called. Non-Prophets Radio is the link. Okay. News or announcements? Let's do a news thing. Russell, would you do a news thing?
Do you want
to
me
get
to
the
do
ball
a news
rolling?
thing, or should I pass it along?
Feel free to hand out news to our honored guests.
I'll go ahead.
Our honored
and start.
co-hosts. We're not actually calling you guests today. You're not guests. You have to work to be on the show.
Temporary co-hosts. Bill allows some Head Start schools to base hiring on religion.
Bill who?
A bill. Religiously oriented groups, this is the next logical step in faith-based funding.
Or the next illogical step.
Religiously oriented groups that provide federal preschool programs could refuse to hire teachers based on their faith. A House panel voted Thursday approving a scaled-back overhaul of Head Start. The bill would give 8 states, not all 50, as the Bush administration wanted, greater control over how they run the nation's preschool program for the poor.
Why 8? I don't understand. Why does this just affect 8 states?
They're probably the most hick states that actually wanted it.
We, of course, would probably be one of those hick states.
But that can't be. It can't be on the basis of what states asked for those additional privileges, can it? Does that make any sense? You'd think that, federal law affects all states equally. Doesn't it?
Good question.
It could be that those 8 were ones that, for other reasons,
managed to finagle from Congress, just let them try in those 8 states, and then you'll see how well it works to discriminate against hiring people.
All right, go ahead.
Yes.
Well, how do they justify it? How do they justify hiring teachers based on their religion?
Overall, the bill aims to expand academic expectations for children, require more teachers to have a college education, and improve monitoring to ensure students emerge ready for kindergarten. But the religious provision, added Thursday by the House Education and Workforce Panel on Education Reform,
or HOOP for short,
is
what?
Is the latest to cause a partisan divide over a program that has helped roughly 20 million children develop literacy and social skills. The bill has an anti-discrimination clause, but it would not apply to groups in hiring people whose religion could affect the organization's work. The idea is backed by a court ruling and intended to keep religious groups from dropping out of the federal program, said Representative Mike Castle, Republican from Delaware, the bill's sponsor. In other words, I would say it's basically the same story as religious charities. I mean, religions are free to start charities, right? They just have to be subject to federal laws about how, if you're a government organization, you can't discriminate based on, color, sexual preference. Actually, I don't think that's a rule. But religion, you just have to submit to anti-discrimination laws. But that's not good enough for them. So one of the big reasons for having faith-based charities is that they can continue to be the religion and discriminate against whoever they want while sucking up government money for charities.
Yeah, so that's completely bogus.
That
is completely bogus that they had to change that to keep religious organizations from dropping out of the federal program. Frankly, no religious organizations should be receiving federal funds in the first place, right? If they're going to, they have to receive them on the same basis as everybody else, which means you can't discriminate on the basis of religion.
Right.
So, I mean, that's completely bogus. What you were asking, Keryn, what is their justification? I mean, I've heard justifications offered on many other occasions when these kinds of things come up, and it's always, it's not fair to us Christians to be forced to set aside our religious beliefs in order to participate in the program.
That's fine. And
my religious belief is that anybody who is not a Christian deserves to suffer eternal torment and is inherently evil because he denies God, even though, like Paul said in Romans, everybody knows because God told them. And they're all evil because in that same part of the Bible it says that everybody who denies God, God makes them evil.
Right. And of course they're free to believe that. Nobody is denying them that right.
Right.
They just don't have to apply for federal funding. They already don't get taxed. What more do they want?
Well, they want this now.
Right. They want to control schools' education, which fits right into their their creationist stuff, their attempt to eradicate all forms of sexual education.
The earlier we can start the brainwashing, the more effective it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Here's a quote from Representative Castle, who I mentioned earlier. Faith-based organizations cannot be expected to sustain their religious mission without the ability to employ individuals who practice their faith, because it's that faith that motivates them to serve.
Well, that's fine. They don't have to accept government funds.
Right.
Right. Well, one would think. So, so wait a minute. Is that actually now passed, or is that just the House? Is this actually law?
Sorry. The bill would give 8 states greater control. So
the bill approved in a party line vote.
Now goes to the full committee.
Right. All right. So that's the thing to keep an eye on.
Now, I mean, I just finished a job at the Jewish Community Association of Austin, and in my job description when I was applying for it, they preferred that you have knowledge of Jewish background and Jewish culture because that's going to be part of what you do on the job. I don't know.
Well, knowledge of, though, does not require actual belief.
Right. That's true. And I don't know if they would have not hired someone who was very eligible and very compatible with them for not having knowledge.
My job requires knowledge of computer programming. I think they'd be perfectly within their rights to deny someone a job because they just don't have the skills required for the job.
Right.
But that's not what this is about.
Right.
I mean, you could believe if it was possible to know everything you needed to know about computers,
enough about Christianity
and yet
I
believe.
think I'm
talking about your job now. I'm talking about your job now, right? It's an analogy. If it was possible to know everything you needed to know about computer programming, and yet at the same time believe that the way computers work is there's little imps flying around moving all the electrons, right? Your belief has nothing to do with your knowledge. Separate.
And your ability to perform in those job functions.
That's true, but your version of tech support might be a little odd.
Okay, I want you to... Do you have holy water?
Now, wait. There's a little hole in the side of your computer.
Circle 3 times.
Have you fed the imps recently?
Sprinkle some pixie dust into the screen.
They don't work for free.
Right.
Anyway.
Oh, boy. Well, so they're still at it, aren't they? They're still trying to take apart our secular nation and
from all directions.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's have some like positive, interesting, good news. Study finds odd skulls from oldest modern humans. The fossilized craniums, which are estimated to be 160,000 years old, have a previously unseen combination of primitive and modern features, paleontologists involved in the excavation said. Classified as a new subspecies of Homo sapiens, the remains help boost the theory that modern man came from Africa, according to the group led by scientists from Berkeley. They represent the probable immediate ancestors of anatomically modern humans. Their anatomy and antiquity constitute strong evidence of modern human emergence from Africa, said Berkeley researcher Tim White. The international team found the skulls in the eroding sandy sediments of an ancient river in Herto, a village about 140 miles northeast of the Ethiopian capital Addis Ababa. Are we going to Addis Ababa, Mr. Luthor? Anybody who gets that quote,
oh boy,
wins a prize.
I'm just trying to remember which number.
Yeah.
What?
Superman 2?
That was the first one.
First one.
Yeah. So the remains are some of the most significant discoveries of early Homo sapiens so far. One of the most intriguing characteristics of the skulls was a pattern of deliberate and repeated cut marks. Additionally, the child's skull had polished sides, possibly from repeated handling. Quote, these marks differ in placement and orientation from those that were made by defleshing with stone tools. They reveal some form of ancient mortuary practice, the scientists said. Anyway, so that's always interesting. We keep finding evidence that we were not just planted on Earth like geraniums from a guy in the sky waving his hands, but
6,000 years ago, right?
Yeah.
It's a trick. It was made to appear old.
What's next?
I don't think we talked about... I think you must have missed this one because I don't remember talking about this. The western United States is under invasion by Mormons. Well, Mormon crickets, actually. I just thought that was kind of funny.
Mormon crickets?
Yes, swarms of Mormon crickets are marching across the
How can they tell
west,
they're Mormons?
Do
they wear the special underwear?
They must.
Well, they have multiple wives.
Range-landed crops, slickening highways with their carcasses, and leaving disgusted residents in their wake. In other words, not that different from Mormons.
It doesn't say that.
Sorry.
No, they say it's yucky.
It's yucky, said Amy Nisbet of Elko in northeast Nevada, where this year's crickets made their
And a lot of
first
people say that about polygamy, but I'm not so sure.
You drive down the street and they pop like bubble wrap.
Oh, that's a good image.
That is yucky.
The Mormon cricket is actually a katydid, similar to a grasshopper. It got its name in 1848 when swarms invaded the fields of Mormon settlers in Utah.
Oh, yeah.
According to lore, the settlers prayed for divine assistance that arrived in the form of gulls, which ate the insects and saved the crops.
Yes, that is according to lore, not according to law.
Not according to
that was a very weird. That was a very weird misspeaking.
Yeah. Now, when I went to college at Southwest Texas, we would have cricket infestations.
Yeah,
and there would literally be cricket drifts up against the sides of buildings and stuff like that. And the elevator shafts that had access to outside and stuff would always smell really bad for a while.
And were they Mormons?
I don't know if they were Mormons.
Are you sure they weren't Baptist cricket?
Baptist cricket. There's got to be a joke in there somewhere.
I don't know how you would find that out either.
They're really insistent. They won't shut up at any hours a day, and they're trying to take over the nation. I tried.
Oh, boy. No, we're not really blaming religion for cricket infestations, are we?
No.
Because that would be insane. Okay, good.
Right.
Tom Cruise has been lobbying the White House, meeting with officials from the Department of Education and lawmakers at the White House, according to the Washington Post. A source says he believes that Cruise is hoping to get government funding for the Church of Scientology.
Because they're so poor.
No, that's wonderful. I hope they give it to him.
Yeah.
Why?
It'll really upset the people who are lobbying for faith-based funding.
Boy, would it. That would actually, be awesome.
Yes. I say the more out there kooky religions that take their share of the government funding from the mainstream scarier religions, the better.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the same issue as when they were talking about discussing religion in schools, but there was some, college class on religion, and there was a Christian that got really upset that they were talking about the Quran in this religious class.
Right. Yeah.
You know? So it's the same thing. We want you to give money to faith-based
organizations. That's of the devil.
Right. We want you to give money to faith-based organizations, but only if there are faith-based organizations.
Right. And the great thing is that even the most insane legislatures that we have can't seem to muster an argument for why we should be able to limit the faith-based funding to only this one particular sect of Christianity. They just count on the fact that those people won't apply for it. So I say it's great that they're applying for it. I want to see Scientologists and Mormons and
Hindus, Buddhists, Sikhs, Raelian,
atheists.
And what's going to be weird is the only one that's going to be intolerant is the Christian.
Right.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, the
Muslims won't be intolerant that Christians are getting funding, but the Christians will be intolerant that Muslims are.
Well, if the Muslims...
Yeah, but that would be true whichever was the majority religious view.
Mm-hmm. You think atheists could apply for it?
Well,
It's hard to say that
that's a tough one.
Faith-based, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
We don't seem to be able to get to amongst ourselves decide whether we are a religion or not.
I know there was some kind of matter that they were trying to change the wording of a religious organization so that it included the phrase belief in a higher power. But I think at the point...
Well,
which makes you wonder, why did they have to be that specific? If this is supposedly...
Because they don't want us getting federal funds, that's why.
Right. I mean, they claim that, we're just asking you to be less discriminating so that you can open up to religions that were previously denied the ability.
Obviously, what we need to do is find spokespeople to forward the idea that atheism is a religion. And we can do that by talking to some of the kookier Christians. They on alt atheism, there were threads and posts about atheism is a religion, blah blah blah, and all these hackneyed, insane arguments, showing how ours is based on faith and all this stuff. Fine, give me funding then.
Yeah, they'll call us a religion as long as it supports whatever they're currently arguing, right, and then they'll change their minds as long as it's not supporting them.
Faith-based. Oh, except. Oh, God.
Let's see.
Michael Newdow is pushing for that.
I don't know what to think about that. It's going to be weird.
Yeah, we talked about that before on the show. That's something that Mike Newdow brought up at the Atheist March on Washington late last year. And his argument is that since the way that the anti-discrimination laws are written, it refers specifically to discrimination on the basis of religion. And so the obvious, easiest way for us to get that law to apply to us so we can't be discriminated against is say, sure, what the hell, we're a religion.
Yeah.
I'd like to remind all the people who are listening right now, and I know you're out there because I see it on the web stats, that there is a chat room which is live right now, assuming you're listening on Saturday, June 21st. So come join me.
Yes, let's see what is our record for number of people in the chat room so far?
15.
15?
No, more than that.
How many?
15 to 20.
Okay, fine. We want 21 people in the chat room. Do we have 21 people listening?
22.
22, all right.
I think one of them is me.
All right, fine. We want all of you people. If you're listening to the show live right now, go to www.atheistnetwork.com, click on the chat link, and go into the chat room right now.
But we're not desperate, really.
It's not a matter of desperation. We're going for a record here, man.
Yeah.
All right. Let me finish the Tom Cruise craziness. Alternative religion expert Rick Ross says, it looks to me like Cruise is seeking federal funds for Scientology schools under President Bush's faith-based initiative. Ross also says the Cruise is appealing to the Bush administration to pressure some European countries to ease up on their anti-Scientology policies, just as John Travolta lobbied the Clinton administration. A Church of Scientology spokeswoman declined to comment on Cruise's visit, saying that it was the private activity of an individual person. Yeah, right. What do you got on Tom Cruise, you Scientology buttwads? Huh? What do you got on him? Making it so you can manipulate him like this. Tom met at the Department of Education. What the hell? Tom met at the Department of Education because he has always been passionate about education and wanted to meet the Secretary of Education, a spokeswoman for the actor told The Scoop.
I wish I could just arbitrarily do that.
Yeah, so what? He's an actor. All right. So anyway, let's go on. What's next there, Russell?
New judge coming up for the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals. The Senate Judiciary Committee on Wednesday made known the latest target of their efforts to keep President Bush's judicial nominees off the federal bench. Alabama's Republican Attorney General William H. Bill Pryor, nominee to the 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals.
Well, there you go. There's that Bill guy.
Oh, that's Bill. Okay.
That must be him.
All right, go ahead.
Senator Charles Schumer, Democrat from New York, described Pryor's pro-life and other conservative political beliefs as an unfortunate stitching together of the worst parts of the most troubling judges we've seen thus far.
Oh, man.
Echoing Schumer's concerns was Senator Dianne Feinstein, Democrat from California. Virtually in every area, you have extraordinarily strong views which continue and come out in a number of different ways, Feinstein told Pryor. I am one who believes that one can be a strong advocate for their views and be a good, fair, impartial judge, Feinstein explained. However, I must say this, in this case, my theory is really put to the test. Feinstein quoted from a speech Pryor gave to the 1997 graduate class at McGill-Tulane Catholic High School in Mobile, Alabama. The American experiment is not a theocracy. It does not establish an official religion, Pryor stated, but the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States are rooted in a Christian perspective of the nature of government and the nature of man. The challenge of the next millennium will be to preserve the American experiment by restoring its Christian perspective.
Blah,
and what is the Christian perspective on the nature of man? That we're all irretrievably, irredeemably evil creatures.
Right, and deserve nothing more than
we deserve eternal torment unless we join the club. Gee, what a beautiful perspective on the nature of man those folks have got.
There's more if you really
sure.
for punishment.
Ooh, a little bit more.
Schumer castigated Pryor for his characterization of the Roe v. Wade decision, which legalized abortion on demand during all 9 months of pregnancy, as the worst abomination in the history of constitutional law. Pryor has in the past charged that the Supreme Court created out of thin air a constitutional right to murder an unborn child, and said that he will never forget January 22nd, 1973, the day 7 members of our highest court ripped up the Constitution. Schumer believes Pryor's comments prove he is a little too much of an ideologue on the issue. On the issue to rule fairly in any case concerning abortion. I, for one, believe a judge can be pro-life and yet be fair, balanced, and uphold a woman's right to abortion, Schumer claimed. But for a judge to set aside his own personal views, the commitment to the rule of law must clearly supersede his or her personal agenda. But Pryor referred to a ban on partial birth abortions passed by the Alabama legislature that was, in his opinion, mostly unconstitutional.
Okay.
So he's scary in many ways.
Still nibbling around the edges of our free society, trying to destroy it.
Stack the deck.
Does anybody want to own the Jesus phone box story?
I'll take a look at it. What the heck?
Sorry. I want to talk about the scooter.
You can have that in case.
All right.
This just in: President Bush is an idiot.
All right, come on, we know that. Okay, here's a extremely creepy little news story. Church sued for $2 million over dramatic youth service. A $2 million lawsuit has been filed in Blount County Circuit Court against a Blount County church, the pastor, the youth director, 2 deacons, and several other church members. The suit was filed by Knoxville, Tennessee, attorney for John and Jane Doe, plaintiffs who chose not to reveal their names in the suit. They are suing individually and on behalf of their teenage daughter, Janie. The suit claims the girl suffered personal injuries as a result of a dangerous cult-like event that was unlawfully and deceptively conceived, sponsored, promoted, and supervised by the Forest Hill Baptist Church, its pastor, its deacons, its youth director, and several of its members. Forest Hill pastor Harry Shearer, that's not Harry Shearer, that's Harry Shearer. Harry Shearer is a completely different guy, said the event referred to in the suit was designed to help young people in the church learn more about and better understand the persecution of Christians in other parts of the world. Quote, everyone else involved was impressed by the whole activity. It was a very positive event. We are saddened that members of this family feel wronged by our church. Shearer said the church's youth director read about the program called Underground Church and worked with other church members to plan the event held March 23rd of last year. He said the process involved was discussed at a youth group meeting prior to the event and that there was correspondence giving an overview of the event sent to the homes of youth group members. The suit claims both Janie Doe and her father were notified of the event on the day it was to occur and questioned the advisability of her participating since she was recovering from recent surgery for a pre-existing knee problem. So it goes on. They claim that the church lied to them about the amount of strenuous physical activity that it was going to take. The suit alleges that the nature of the event was intentionally misrepresented to induce the girl to participate and the father to allow her to do so. Okay. The suit goes on to say the small groups of kids were required to walk to one station and hike downhill to another. There's like a little of different places they had to go on this little activity. According to the suit, the girl became concerned when she saw law enforcement vehicles with their lights on and lights and sirens on. The person driving the group let them out, and they were told to sneak the back way to the church's fellowship hall. The suit says the group was accosted by men dressed in dark clothes, but reached the fellowship hall where lights were out, and the adult who greeted them appeared to be crying. They began reading Bible passages by flashlight, heard gunshots outside, hid between some cupboards, and then several men dressed as soldiers with gas masks on came in. The suit alleges the group members were blindfolded, handcuffed with Velcro, dragged out of the parking lot, and told to climb in the back of a truck. According to the suit, Janie Doe fought back and pleaded to be let go, but was laughed at and yelled at by her captors. The suit claims she managed to escape, but was grabbed again, blindfolded, and handcuffed with metal cuffs. They were told they had one chance to deny Christ or you will be killed. When Janie Doe refused...
What would they do if she actually did it?
That would be amusing, wouldn't it? When Janie Doe refused to deny Christ, the suit says there was the sound of a gunshot and she was soaked with water. Then she began screaming and crying before being told to go inside the residence of another church member. There, she said, she pleaded to have her handcuffs removed, but several people acted as if they could not find the key. Once the cuffs were finally taken off, her wrists were cut and bleeding and so on. So basically, it was this whole like play acting the Cassie Bernal story, right? We're gonna pretend to capture you.
Fake, of course.
Yeah, the Cassie Bernal story, which of course was fake. It was discovered that she was not the girl that the story.
Somebody else said.
Right. So anyway. Everybody remembers that.
It's all fun and games until somebody gets killed.
Well, or their wrists get cut and bleeding, and she's got a knee injury and stuff. But anyway, it was basically they're tormenting their own flock.
Right.
Well, threatening them with
right
death
in line with their philosophy that you can only be a good Christian if you have the shit scared out of you.
Yeah.
It's just completely sick. I don't know if they deserve, $2 million for this. That's I'm not going to comment on the legality of it, but
now who's suing who?
The family are suing the church for putting on this program for terrorizing their little girl.
That makes
and physically injuring her.
To me. Now, if the church tries to get that money from the federal government, then I'm going to have a problem with it.
Well, this is where federal funding to churches is going to go. This to them is education, right? They're teaching them about it's like practice for
taxpayers can now pay for the lawsuit thanks to the federal funding.
Yeah, all this crap about police cars and soldiers and stuff coming in and demanding that the kids deny Christ is like. It's like a dry run for the apocalypse that they believe is going to happen.
Yeah, and I mean, this actually fits into the church philosophy in two ways. One is that if we scare the shit out of you, then you'll join our church and give us money. I mean, generally they try to scare the shit out of you with supernatural stuff.
Yeah.
Right. The other one is, we're the church. We have the right to do whatever we want.
Yeah. It's only a matter of time till the next Kool-Aid incident.
Kool-Aid incident?
Jonestown.
Yeah, Jonestown, right.
You don't know about this?
I don't know
about
this.
How young are you?
Oh, boy.
You don't know the whole Jonestown thing. Okay, once upon a time, there was this insane cult leader, and he led his people to South America, where they all drank Kool-Aid and killed themselves.
Yeah, like poisoned Kool-Aid.
Right. Yeah.
There's no comet involved. The comet one was more recent and only a handful of people.
Didn't have anything to do with UFOs or anything?
No.
I see. They were just going to nuclear
just Christianity.
And once this happens, and it's entangled with, federal funds, this should be really fun.
That would be interesting if, you find the bill for the Kool-Aid and it's paid for with federal funding.
Oops.
And, they make sure that the law is written in such a way that they can hire whoever they want without any oversight.
Let's give federal funds to people who state beliefs that are irrational. Yeah. sounds like a great idea, right?
Well, it's not. The actual law is not about rationality. It's not. It is about leaving people free to believe, in fact, whatever insane nonsense they want to. It's not the government defining what's rational and what's not. Right? It's the government saying, we're not going to define what's rational and what's not, therefore it's going to be a level playing field, and you don't get special treatment just because you claim to have these beliefs.
We'll give kooks money.
Well, that is the upshot of it, but that's not really what the law is about. It's not the government's business to point fingers and say, you're the kooks over there, and you guys are not the kooks over here. We do that.
Right.
We have that freedom, right? We don't have the Constitution telling us that,
we have to be fair
to everybody.
I mean, if they pass this law, they're basically pointing their fingers at us. Saying, you're the kooks.
It depends how they do it, right? I mean, if they give out federal funding to religious groups and we get defined as a religion and we get money, then they're pointing at everybody and saying, it's all good.
That's okay.
And, well, that would be better, unfortunately, than the alternative. What they should do is realize that if they point their fingers at everyone and say it's all good, some people who are kooks are going to get money. And in order to prevent that from happening, they shouldn't give any of it out.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
Which again is why I hope that Scientology wins, because I hope that the money winds up in the hands of a large variety of kooks instead of concentrated mostly in the hands of one enormous politically influential group.
Right, the popular kooks.
Monolithic kook.
Yeah, well, one can always hope. Dennis, what do you got?
Okay. Jesus box exposed as fake.
No.
Hey, we're less than halfway through the show.
And?
We're running out of news.
Right.
No, we're not.
Shocked.
Okay.
I have several.
I am.
A stone box touted as the oldest archaeological evidence of Jesus is, in fact, a well-crafted fake, Israeli archaeological experts say. The box, an object known as an ossuary, was said to have contained the bones of Jesus' brother James. Carved on one side is an inscription in the ancient language of Aramaic bearing the legend, James, son of Joseph, brother of Jesus.
But Jesus had no brothers. Mary was a virgin. Sorry.
Before Jesus. These were all younger brothers.
Yes.
At least it didn't say...
Once God took her cherry, then it was all confusing.
Well, at least it didn't say, "Arr."
Then it was like, woo, Joseph, let's go! Like that.
They're saying here, the ossuary is real, but the inscription is fake, the director of Israel's Antiquities Authority, Shuka Dorfman, told Reuters.
We actually... we knew this months ago, right?
Yeah.
Somebody...
Heck, we talked about this story the last time I was on the show.
Who hadn't even seen the box.
Did we?
Yeah, who had just seen a picture of the inscription, but had some kind of degree in, ancient script or something like that. Looked at this picture and said... the writing on one half is different from the writing on the other half. I bet that the word brother of Jesus was put there later. And she was, of course, roundly criticized and mocked by people who wanted to believe in the...
the sad thing is...
The box.
There's several sad things. I mean, one, obviously, that we have people willing to perpetrate hoaxes like this. Have they identified the culprit of the hoax? Do they know who is responsible for the hoax?
What this means is that somebody took a real box and forged the writing on it, probably to give it a religious significance, Dorfman added. Gee, you think?
Yeah, but who? Do we know who?
Likely whoever was selling this box trying to give it more value.
Okay. Well, that guy...
Oded Golan, who bought who is the current owner, the Israeli owner of the James ossuary, dismissed the findings. Well, yeah, he would. While most scholars agree, he said he had bought the ossuary in the mid-1970s from a dealer in the old city of Jerusalem for about $200, but he was unable to remember the dealer's name.
Yeah.
That's convenient.
But there's nobody denying that it's a real ossuary.
Read the rest of what he says.
I am certain the ossuary is real. I am certain the committee is wrong regarding its conclusions, he said. This is Oded Golan, though. Of course he's going to say everything's real. Yeah.
He's the owner who wants it to be worth millions.
You know, he's now a famous celebrity all over the world who everybody knows is a complete sucker.
Right.
Well, or else he is a complete hoaxer.
Right. Officials with Israeli's Antiques Authority announced Wednesday that while the box may date from the correct era, the inscription is a forgery added at a much later date.
All right. So on the one hand, we got people in the world who are perpetrating hoaxes like this. The other thing, I bet you know, year or two down the line, you'd be able to go into any big old bookstore chain and find these glowing novels written by Christians about how the ossuary proves that there was a Jesus.
Right. Mm-hmm. They'll just ignore the...
I like this.
They're willing to make up shit, and then they're not willing to be honest when that shit gets exposed as a lie.
Right. Hundreds of people pick up the story, and like a dozen notice that there was a retraction. That's why to this day you still hear people claiming that they found Noah's Ark.
Yeah.
Which was like an intentional hoax on TV at some point.
Yeah.
And that's why they had that poll also that 1/3 of the country believes that Iraqis were involved in the bombing in the September 11th
Right.
thing.
Yeah. Say it often enough.
Yeah. People are morons. Okay.
Here's something. Golan had earlier said he had problems with the committee and its methods of investigation, saying they had preconceived notions. Bias kettle.
He doesn't have any bias. No, he spent $200 on it and hopes to sell it for a lot more. Sure.
All right. On a lighter note, 9-year-old girl marries dog in India.
Wow.
New Delhi. A 9-year-old girl.
Dog years, she is.
That's right. He's, what is that? 4 years for a dog? Is that the? It's like 7 for cats, right? 4 for dogs, and then 36.
Wow.
That dog should not be marrying a 9-year-old girl. That's disgusting.
No, the girl is.
She's 36 in dog years.
For him.
We don't know how old the dog is.
A 9-year-old girl was married to... And you're right, we don't, because it's a stray dog. A 9-year-old girl was married to a stray dog in a ceremony attended by more than 100 guests in a village in India's eastern state of Bengal.
I always cry at weddings.
I always drool at weddings.
I always howl.
I always bark at weddings.
I always lick my testicles at weddings.
That's a quota.
All right. 100 guests in a village in India's eastern state of Bengal as part of a ritual intended to ward off a bad omen. Newspapers reported on Thursday.
Bad omen that she might end up marrying a human?
I don't know what the bad omen was yet. The girl, Karnamoni Hansa, had to be married quickly to break an evil spell, according to the beliefs of her Santhal tribe in the remote village of Kanyan.
And there were no guys around?
Can I proceed with the news story? I'm sure they will cover all these important details. Karnamoni's tooth had grown on her upper gum, which Santhals consider a bad omen. Ooh. What does that mean? What
she
tooth?
Should marry a dentist.
She had a tooth that was in front of the other teeth, and it was crowded.
Okay.
Out, I suppose.
The girl's father, Baburam Hansa, a poor sharecropper, could not afford the expenses of marrying his daughter to a boy, so he saved money by making a street dog the groom on June 11. The other news media...
rabies shots, though.
You gotta admit, it was a brilliant solution.
I wonder if the dog passed the blood test.
Did he get a dog license or just the marriage license?
Do they still have those laws in their religion over there that marriages are invalid unless they're consummated? Oh, never mind.
Well, I hope he's not expecting grandchildren.
This is just
too puppies. What?
Go ahead.
I'm reading the news here. Okay. Other news media also reported on the ritual, which does not interfere with the girl's life. She suffers no stigma and is free to marry later. She doesn't even need to divorce the dog.
Ah, polygamy there of some sort.
Okay, well,
you've been married before?
I guess you're not allowed to be married to more than one person.
She suffers no stigma. I am stigmatizing this girl right now. I know it's not her fault. I know it's not her fault, but if I ever met this person and she told me, yeah, when I was 9 I was married to a dog, I would laugh out loud. That's my, I have that right. I'm damn well stigmatizing her.
I'm laughing at her.
It's hilarious. Okay. There's our...
So when she grows up, she'll have 2 husbands.
Well, hopefully there will be a book on this later so we can find out what her life with the dog was like.
Ideally a sitcom.
Yeah. Dear, I'm home.
Now I'll stay home and make dinner and you go out and win the bread.
How was work today, honey? Oh, there was much good trash to eat.
I sniffed some other dogs' butts.
Okay, are we done?
Hey, you were out with that bitch again.
Now, wait a second. Did they determine whether or not this stray dog had been neutered or not?
No, they didn't.
No, I doubt it.
All right, Russell, what do you got? Is this your last news story of the day?
Not quite.
Okay, go.
Ex-plaintiff in landmark Roe v. Wade ruling asks case to be overturned. And this is just the first news story, so hold on. The former plaintiff known as Jane Roe in the 1973 U.S. Supreme Court case that legalized abortion sought to have the case overturned in a motion filed Tuesday that asks the courts to consider new evidence that abortion hurts women. Norma McCorvey, who joined the anti-abortion fight nearly 10 years ago, when I don't think the story mentions, she became a wacko fundy.
And I'll tell you what hurts women.
Says she regrets her role in Roe v. Wade, said the Supreme Court's decision is no longer valid because scientific and anecdotal evidence that has come to light in the last 30 years has shown the negative effects of abortion.
Yeah.
We're getting our babies back, a jubilant McCorvey said at a news conference while flanked by...
No, you're not getting any babies back. The babies that were aborted are gone. I'm sorry.
While flanked by about 60 women, some of who sobbed and held signs that read, "I regret my abortion." Yeah, that's fine that some people regret their abortion. We're sorry. They should have been better informed about the decision they were making.
I regret Texas's election of George W. Bush.
Me too.
Can we take that back?
We're stuck with it.
McCorvey was a 21-year-old carnival barker. When pregnant for the 3rd time, she sought an abortion. She agreed to be the plaintiff in a lawsuit seeking to overturn Texas's anti-abortion statute. Interesting historical note, though, she never had that abortion. The case went on so long that she couldn't do it even after she won. But
carnival barker, huh?
Yeah.
That must have been a circus.
From later this week, however, court dismisses McCorvey's request to reopen Roe v. Wade. A federal district court has dismissed a request by the former plaintiff known as Jane Roe to reconsider the landmark U.S. Supreme Court decision that legalized abortion 30 years ago. The court dismissed McCorvey's request late Thursday, saying it wasn't made within a reasonable time after the 1973 judgment.
Right, 30 years.
30 years, yes.
Hey,
it's simply too late now, 30 years after the fact, for McCorvey to revisit that judgment.
What does her opinion have to do with it anyway?
Yeah. I mean, it's about constitutionality. It wasn't really about her.
Right.
It's about a lawyer who decided to take up her cause, as it often is, to overturn some bad state laws.
Right.
What were you going to say?
How's our chat room doing?
You don't want to ask.
Did we have a visitor there, and then because nobody talked to him, he went away?
No.
No?
That was, yesterday.
Oh.
Hello, anybody out there?
We have, a decent-sized group of people in the chat room. It's completely empty today.
We had a lot of people last time.
Once again, folks, if you're listening to the show live,
they're all out celebrating the summer solstice.
They're listening to the show. We got statistics. We know that there's 22 people listening to the show at live at this very moment. Or is it more than that now? Or is it less?
But rather than talking on the chat room, they're sacrificing goats or something.
Still 23.
All right. You didn't mean still. It was 22 a second ago.
Well, it was 23 the last time I checked.
Well, you said it was 22, but one of them was you. Now it's 23.
Now it's 23.
And we want every single one of you to come into the chat room right now. www.atheistnetwork.com. Click on the chat link.
I should mention, as our webmaster, that the download usage for our website spikes enormously on the Mondays after our show. So,
there's no question there's no concern here about the number of listeners we've got. That's plenty healthy.
Sign on to the chat room right now.
The population in our chat room right now. Or maybe the link is broken or something.
Or you'll burn in hell.
No, you won't either.
The link I've got, actually, if you want to go directly there, is www.thedeepdark.com/chat/index.php.
I got a really great email, by the way, that I wanted to share with you guys from Eleanor, my best friend. It was one of those email forwards.
Should I finish this?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, I thought you were done.
Well,
you finished it up.
I just wanted to mention part of the reason why she was trying to, part of the rationalization that her lawyers were using to overturn it was, let's see. First of all, a quote from one of the judges who threw the case out. Whether or not the Supreme Court was infallible, its Roe decision was certainly final in this litigation, Judge David Godbee wrote in the ruling. It is simply too late now, 30 years after the fact, to revisit that judgment. Ms. McCorvey's attorney, Alan Parker, said his client will likely ask the court to reconsider its ruling. The changed law, Parker said, is the so-called Baby Moses Act, which Texas pioneered in 1999 that allows the state to assume responsibility for unwanted children. Parker said the burden on women raising unwanted children was one of the determining factors in the Supreme Court's decision to legalize abortion. But since that factor no longer exists, in as many as 40 Baby Moses states, Roe v. Wade should be reconsidered.
The hell it doesn't.
Now, first of all, having an unwanted pregnancy is not a burden. Hello?
And how about the state coming in and saying, we are now going to take charge of the fetus growing in your womb.
I thought Republicans were the ones who wanted to reduce government, I didn't think that, but they say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to allow abortion anymore. We're simply going to have the state take over the life of the pregnant woman and make her a state-controlled baby-making machine. That's nice.
That's wonderful.
That's a nice trade-off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is that the end of that?
I can go on.
They told her to go fuck herself.
Yes.
Right? Okay, great.
And instead of fucking the people who got her pregnant.
It's 30 years later, man. She's not fertile anymore.
Sure, email?
Probably. Go ahead.
Maybe. Oh, yeah, well...
Oh, no.
Well, I had just said sign on to the website or you'll burn in hell. It reminded me of an email that my best friend sent me that I wanted to forward to the atheist group, but I accidentally...
Your best friend told you you were going to hell?
Deleted. No. This was one of those...
She's Jewish.
Yes. This was one of those forwards. You click on this fortune teller site. And the fortune teller site says... enter your full name, your birthday, a number between 1 and 10, the name of the person you have a crush on, the names of your two best friends, and then enter
their email addresses and their credit card numbers.
No, and then enter a wish, and then you enter all that information and it clicks it. She started this email by saying she was rolling on the floor laughing for about 10 minutes, so I had to pursue it, But you enter it, and it says something along the lines of, Okay, so I entered the number 3. It says 3 is the number of the times that you should be socked upside the head for believing that I'm about to tell your fortune.
Wow.
It says the name of the person that you have a crush on. This is the person that will never ever sleep with you because you're an idiot. It says other stuff along those lines, and then at the end of the thing it says, now if you don't forward this message to 400,000 people in the next 4 seconds, then this wish will not come true. This is a really good website.
Do you have a URL?
I don't. I tried to email her again and say, wait, I accidentally deleted that too quickly. Can you send it to me again? And I haven't heard back since. So, but when I get that information from her, I'll send it out again.
In the chat room, look that up. Oh, never mind.
All right.
It's a good website. I'll send it out if I ever find it again.
Now, does anybody here remember that, for a couple of years now, there's this story been brewing about Catholic priests molesting children?
Mm-hmm. No, I forgot all about that, actually.
Yeah, there's something like
they recently, it's the 1-year anniversary of their first big meeting where they made a show of how, we're going to fix it all up, right?
All right, party.
And unfortunately, they're not fixing it by all, quitting and saying, yes, we're a bunch of big self-serving, money-grubbing bastards that are just in to get other people to do as we say and give us money and give us respect and authority because we tell them this completely stupid story about the invisible pixie in the sky that we want you all to believe in. That wasn't the way they went about solving the problem.
Well, no,
they put together a committee.
Curtail their funds.
They put together several committees, and the head of the panel of lay Catholics, boy, I wish they'd changed some of this terminology. Former Oklahoma Governor Frank Keating resigned from that panel, but stood by his recent accusation that some Roman Catholic bishops have shown a mafia-like devotion to secrecy. Gee, what a surprise. It's not like they've shown anything else for the last several hundred years. That is exactly the reason why this problem was able to persist for so long with nobody catching on until recently. Of course they show mafia-like devotion to secrecy. That is what they're all about. It's a big boys' club of, you let me fondle a little boy in my rectory, and I'll let you fondle one in yours.
And they wear pretty red coats, too.
Only the higher-ranking ones get to wear the pretty red coats.
Let's change the terminology. It's a rectory.
My remarks, which some bishops found offensive, were deadly accurate. Huh? What?
Sorry.
What?
My remarks, which some bishops found offensive, were deadly accurate. I make no apology, Keating wrote in his letter of resignation, to resist grand jury subpoenas, to suppress the names of offending clerics, to deny, to obfuscate, to explain away. That is the model of a criminal organization, not my church. Sorry, I have to correct you, Mr. Keating. It is the model of a criminal organization and your church. Keating's tendency to speak plainly and acidly has repeatedly irritated Catholic prelates. The most recent was Cardinal Roger Mahoney in Los Angeles, who called for Keating's removal after the former governor and FBI agent told the Los Angeles Times last week that some bishops were acting like La Cosa Nostra. But
Isn't
lay
that a
leaders...
Ricky Martin song? Oh, sorry.
Right. But lay leaders said Keating's outspokenness has also increased public confidence that his 13-member panel, known as the National Review Board, was truly independent and would not whitewash the sex scandal. The board's remaining members sought yesterday to reassure Catholics it will forge ahead with research on the scope and causes of the scandal, audit the sex abuse policies of every U.S. diocese, and hold the bishops to their promises of change. But,
I don't think so.
I don't care if they do. I don't want them held to their promises of change. I want them frickin' in prison. I want them imprisoned for sex crimes and for facilitating sex crimes. That is where they belong. All this crap about, we're going to investigate you, that's not my church. Yeah, I'm sorry, it is. That is exactly your church. And you people who are trying to, you think that what you're doing is helping the church by rooting out the evil. You have no clue what you're doing. All you're doing is you're going to catch the cases that they don't manage to cover up, and they're going to go right on doing the crap that they've always been doing, because that is what the church is. That's what the church organization is all about. That's what they've been about for not just hundreds but thousands of years. So anyway, so they're meeting again, these bishops, and making all these noises about, yes, the guy who was in charge of the committee to investigate us says we're a bunch of crooks, but we can tell you that you can really trust us, and we have your best interest at heart, and we're making good headway.
They're not true Catholics.
And we're wearing the red shirts like we're supposed to, and rub each other's backs, sticking our hands down little boys' pants. All those things we do for you, the customer. All right. Russell?
This was an editorial a few days ago from some professor of biblical scholar or something or other. It's called "Some Christians See a Roadmap to the End Times, Viewing Mideast Events Through a Biblical Lens."
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Goody.
In recent years, conservative Christians across the country have grown increasingly involved in the Mideast peace process. Now, I could stop right there and you'll be really scared.
Yeah.
Even though the conflict in the region is nominally one between Jews and Muslims, in which Christians appear to have less of a stake, conservative Christians have been drawn in for a variety of reasons, both biblical and practical. The Bible predicted that one day the nation of Israel would be reestablished in the land. When Israel declared independence in 1948, many interpreted the event to mean the beginning of the last days prophecy, even though many of those same Christians believe that the bulk of biblical prophecy will not be fulfilled until all or most Jews accept Jesus as the Messiah. The logic goes that if God has given the land to Israel, then asking Israel to give away the land for peace is going against the Bible. Hence, these believers oppose any effort to give land to the Palestinians. Other Christians believe that just before the last days there will be a treaty that will give Israel peace for a time, but that the pact will ultimately break down and set off a catastrophe in the Middle East. For these believers, it is not a matter of if there is a peace treaty, but when. Some believe that if the roadmap peace plan, which is currently being discussed, is in fact the treaty mentioned in Daniel 9:27, which I haven't read, then there will be peace for 3.5 years before there is a major war, Armageddon, for another 3.5 years. Now, call me crazy, but it scares the hell out of me that, I think Bush is part of the group of people that believes this, and has this as part of his motive for trying to bring about a treaty.
Is it? What does it say about people coming up with a peace treaty, right? If their motive is to have that peace treaty last only 3.5 years.
What does the Bible say, or what?
No. What does it say about the? What would you say, Russell? Some nitwit gets hired to write a peace treaty between you and some other nation, and their intent is to give you a peace treaty that is designed, engineered to last only 3.5 years.
I would not want that person working for me in any way.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want that person in my corner. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Now, why are these Christians looking forward to war if they're all about peace, love, and happiness?
Because it means it'll bring about the apocalypse, which will bring about the end of the world, which will bring about they'll all go to heaven and be with God.
The Left Behind series.
Yeah, so they like war. Okay, fine. They want a war.
But here's the thing, right? I came to realize this recently after an exchange on the Atheism news group with a Christian who basically came right out and said that evil equals imperfection. that which is imperfect to at least many Christians, that which is imperfect is, by definition, evil.
Okay.
Therefore, the entire world, being imperfect, is evil.
I see.
And they don't, since everything is imperfect, it's clear that you can't get perfection here on earth.
Oh.
And yet, they believe the only way to have good is to be rid of the imperfection. And that means destroy it. Destroy the imperfection. And then...
It doesn't matter if destruction is imperfect.
That doesn't matter, because then they get to go to Happy Land up in the sky with Jesus, and then everything is perfect then.
Except that it's against God's will to commit murder, and it's against God's will to commit suicide, and therefore the only way to get to God is to antagonize somebody else until they kill you.
Yeah. Don't you think even if you bought into the Christian mythos that God would realize that you were pulling a stunt like this and not really approve?
Oh, come on. What's Pascal's wager? This is like one of the most common arguments for why people ought to be Christians that you hear from Christians, right? It's, well, you know, it's this big cost-benefit analysis. It's wrong, right? The underlying assumptions in it are false and stupid.
Right, which we have on our
but the idea is
at atheistcommunity.org.
Yeah. But clearly Christians have no problem with this. Yeah. They believe if you can trick God into thinking that you're if your reason for believing in God is only entirely self-serving, if you're only doing it because you think you're improving your odds of coming out on top that way, they think that's perfectly okay.
Yeah.
Apparently their God doesn't mind.
I think C.S. Lewis said something like, you should go ahead, accept Pascal's wager, and lie to yourself, because eventually, even if it was a conscious decision at first, you'll believe your own lies.
Yeah, well, that guy was a flying retard.
It kind of baffles me what the stance should be on what to do with evil acts if they're part of God's plan. I mean, should you help them?
Well, it's like, does Jesus speak out against war? Well, if he does, then what are they doing?
I mean, Satan supposedly punishes evil people, right?
Okay, yeah. That's
Isn't
part
that
of the story.
Thing?
Right, you'd think that...
we do all we can to help him?
He's got that distasteful job that God gave him.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Right. Right, well, never mind the fact that if God didn't like what Satan was up to, God being omnipotent and Satan being not, how is it that the situation could continue? I mean, the whole thing doesn't make any sense. But you got to understand, right? This fixation on perfection and this definition of evil as being that everything which is imperfect. That's driving all of this. Mm-hmm. They have an irrationally high standard. Everything has to be perfect, or else it's evil.
Right.
If you are not perfect, then you are evil. If the world is not perfect, then it is evil. And so I think that as they swim in this sea of total imperfection and therefore total evil, sure they can plot a course between, well, it's evil to help the mass murderer, but it's also evil to not help the mass murderer. So they really do have to make some judgments of more evil versus less evil.
Right.
I think they do recognize that there are degrees, but it's all degrees of evil. It's not degrees on a scale from good to evil, where there's a certain amount of good and a certain amount of evil. It's evil or more evil.
Yeah, but I mean, the whole theory is that you can be as evil as you want to be, and then Christ will wipe out your sins at the end. I recently had this theory about why religious people are so hung up on sex.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, according to Christianity, a sin is a sin. There aren't really degrees. If you're bad, then you're as bad as you can possibly be.
Okay.
So what I thought is, it must be that the only way you can be worse is if you commit a larger number of sins. And let's face it, people have a lot more sex acts in their lives than they do murders.
Mm-hmm. Right. Interesting. So were you getting this from a Christian? In this debate you're talking about?
No, actually, somebody asked, why are they so goddamn obsessed with sex? I'm not as obsessed with sex as say Jerry Falwell. And the reason must be what?
I may be.
You can't approach Jerry Falwell.
I didn't say I had the same attitude about it he does.
Okay.
So but the thing is, I mean, I also think it's true that people just, there's a reason why people have more sexual acts in their lives than they have murders. Is because sex is easier to get. I mean, and there's more of a motive, more of a constant motive than murder, and presumably more fun. I don't know. I haven't murdered anybody yet, so I can make a comparison.
It's enjoyable. In most cases, it does not harm anyone. Barring pregnancy and disease.
Right. Right. Well, same is true of skydiving. So.
Yeah, but nobody's out on a crusade to ban skydiving in the name of Jesus, are they?
If Jesus had said it's a sin to leave the room without turning off the lights, right? I mean, I think that would be an even bigger deal to Christians than sex.
Well,
because you can go a few days without sex.
Technically, Jesus was Jewish, and in Judaism, you're not supposed to turn off the lights on Shabbos.
I'm trying to make an analogy here.
Well, I mean, along the same lines, they don't make a big deal about kosher laws. Of course, that wasn't Jesus. Right.
Well, I mean, he was Jewish,
right?
And he did.
But whatever. My point is, yeah, I think you're right. I think the reason why some of these things stand out as such a big frickin' deal is they're just more common. They're more common imperfect behaviors that they have been warned against.
Actually imagine that in the mind of a fundamentalist, 10 sex acts outside of marriage is worse than one murder, simply because there's more of them. Am I stretching?
I don't know. I mean, they are, of course, swimming in this sea of evil. Everything is evil. Right. And they do mostly recognize, I think, different degrees. But when it comes down to, is that evil or not? Well, of course, they're going to absolutely say yes, because, of course, it's evil. It's not perfect. Therefore, it's evil. Therefore, we have to put a stop to this, and if that means causing the Armageddon, then,
but I can't imagine. I mean, picking your nose is evil.
That's how much they hate the world. I had this long email debate with a guy who was a liberal Christian. I talked about this over the last couple of episodes, but let me mention it again because it's really stuck in my craw. He's a liberal Christian who's trying to let his God off the hook about hell, right? When I come at him with, look, your God set it up so that if I don't join his club, then I suffer an eternity of torture, right? Says, oh, well, I more believe the C.S. Lewis, once again, C.S. Lewis view of hell, where it's just like, it's just like daily life, but it goes on and on and on. And I said, dude, you're the guy who was the problem here. You are terrified by daily life. The prospect of an eternity of more of what we got now scares you so much that, A, you're going to believe there's an invisible man in the sky whose special place in the clouds you get to go to when you die, just so you don't have to worry about winding up with an eternity of daily life. Plus, B, you call an eternity of just more of daily life hell. And I have the problem? No. Dude, you have the problem. You're the guy who hates the world. Christians hate the world. The most liberal Christian I've ever talked to hates the world. He hates being alive. He hates daily life. To him, it is a horrible thing that needs to be stopped. And the only good thing that can come of any of this is for it all to be swept away, and you get to float in eternal perfection on God's little puffy clouds.
That sounds really boring.
Yes.
Yikes.
I mean,
and I guess
Christians have this problem with hell that if it's not scary enough, then it's not going to scare people into being Christians. But if it's too scary, then their whole religion comes off as they're all evil monsters.
Well, this guy didn't have that problem. He was willing to make his hell less scary. The problem is he made it so less scary that it's like, duh, it's like nothing.
Well, we're already in hell.
And yet he still doesn't want it. And I think that's extremely revealing. What?
Didn't you know that? It's the same concept as the Matrix. We're already in hell. We already did our punishment in our last life.
Who says?
I'm just saying it's a theory. We did our punishment in our last life. This is our punishment. We're in hell now.
Saying, what if this is hell now?
Yeah.
And we don't even
Well,
remember.
since in fact this is just a big computer simulation put on for my benefit, you're just a computer program, so I don't have to listen. Ugh.
Now, I guess he thinks that Armageddon is going to be just like real life, just like day-to-day living.
This guy, he wasn't arguing with me in favor of blowing up.
But he thinks it's going to happen, right?
I don't know. I'm talking about Christianity in general now. I'm talking about this whole perfection versus imperfection, right? Imperfection equals evil.
I'm just going for
It's that thing. I've gotten that exact same thing. I've gotten that exact same thing from fundamentalists and from self-proclaimed extreme left-wing liberal Christians. They all have that in common. I feel pretty comfortable making a blanket statement about Christianity in this regard. I mean, this guy might say, well, no, I don't want there to be a nuclear war in the Middle East. That would be cruel and bad, right? But ultimately, if you ask him, do you want the world to go on? Do you want your life to go on? Or do you want to die and go live in God's fluffy cloud paradise forever where it's perfect? He's going to say, I want to die and go to God's fluffy cloud paradise forever where it's perfect. They freaking hate reality. They don't just like live in a fantasy world because they happen to believe some pretty stories. They hate reality.
Have you read Mark Twain's Letters from the Earth?
Right.
No.
Excellent little short book about Satan writing letters back to the other archangels and how he's observing and laughing at people. And there's this one lengthy passage where he describes the idea that people have of heaven and says, get this, men have put everything that they hate into heaven. In the afterlife, supposedly everybody's going to be holding hands with with every other different race in the world and singing and playing instrument. Nobody plays instruments. Nobody likes to sing, and most of them don't get along with other races. And they've left out the only thing that they really love in the world, which is sex. And they think they'll enjoy it.
So which one is really hell?
I don't know. It's nuts.
And they will have lost their free will.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's do announcements, shall we?
5, 6
I have a story.
No, we're not doing that one.
Oh, come on. It's funny. And there's a video, apparently.
Please.
Sounds like that video would probably be a good moment of zen, do you think?
There is plenty of just Bush bashing out there. There's plenty, right? Anybody can fall off a Segway. Theoretically,
you've already brought it up.
I've never even seen one of the damn things, but presumably, any physical object.
But that's the thing is, you're not supposed to be able to.
There's some kind of special motor that writes it. And keeps you from falling over.
You're not supposed to be able to fall off a Segway.
Okay, fine, do your story, and then I'll do announcements. Do it quick.
Well, you had a better title, actually. This one says, Bush proves you can fall off a Segway.
Yeah, when this story was posted on Alt Atheism, the title of the thread was, Segway not quite idiot-proof yet. All right, so our president fell off a Segway.
Yeah, that's pretty much the whole story.
Meanwhile.
But there's a video link.
It's actually not a video. It's a series of stills.
Read the URL.
I'm not even going to try and say it. Somewhere in Maine, on June 13th, President Bush opened a long Father's Day weekend at his parents' estate here, starting his R&R by riding a Segway.
Are we sure it wasn't the elder Bush?
No, it was the younger one. There's video.
I've seen the pictures.
The stand-up motorized scooter that resembles a push lawnmower. Arriving at the Oceanside home Thursday, Bush quickly shed his suit and tie for running shorts and white T-shirt and sneakers. Using his
oh boy.
That's living on the wild side there. Using his tennis racket, he whacked an orange ball for his dog Spot to fetch, and was still clutching the racket when he boarded a Segway. The Segway went down on the president's first attempt, but he stayed on his feet with a flying leap over the machine. Undeterred, he got on again. His father, former President Bush, climbed on a second Segway, and they cruised around the driveway at the estate at Walker's Point. The president's twins, Jenna and Barbara, and former First Lady...
This time?
Huh?
Were they sober this time?
Yeah, they all took turns on the Segways. So that's the whole story.
And the video link would be tinyurl.com/EWQH.
So let me get it straight. From this story, it says the Segway went down on the president?
All right.
How does that work?
Any instances of slurs, defamation, or discrimination against atheists or other non-believers in the U.S. media can be reported to the National Atheist Ombuds by emailing ombuds@atheism.org. Please remember to include as many details as possible and a news source where applicable. Incidents will be reported to participating national and local non-theist organizations who have agreed to distribute press releases regarding the reported subject matter. You can collect past episodes of The Non-Prophets and also an audio version of our sister show, The Atheist Experience, which airs on public access television only in Austin, Texas, in a convenient CD format. Each CD includes a full month's worth of audio from both shows in both QuickTime and MP3 format, plus extra surprises. The CDs are $5 each. Contact atheist@mac.com for info.
And I'm going to be on the show tomorrow.
You're going to be on the
I'm going to co-host
the
TV show.
That would be the Atheist Experience on public access television in Austin, Texas, from
Channel
4:30 to 6.
4:30 to 6.
4:30 to 6. Channel 10. Right.
And I am officially no longer the main producer on the show. I just had too much.
Yeah.
Steve is now the full-time producer.
Congratulations to Steve. Congratulations to Russell and Ashley for keeping that thing going and doing an excellent job.
Yep.
Okay. So, that was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
Yes.
We've had a lot of fun today. I want to thank everybody who has listened to our show. Those of you who listened to us in our previous season and came back for the second one, especially, thanks for sticking around and coming back. We're backed up to speed. Now, Russell, when will our next one be? Are we going to be actually in 2 weeks?
We will be in 2 weeks.
What was the reason for Vic's absence today?
Wedding?
Yes. He's married already.
Yeah, but this time he's marrying a dog.
He had to go to India.
I believe 2 weeks from now is July 5th.
July 5th?
Yes.
Right. Well, that should be interesting.
Go up on the website.
I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about regarding, the inevitable outpouring of religiosity on the 4th this year.
That's also my anniversary.
Is it the 5th or the 4th?
The 5th.
The 5th, really? Uh-oh, is this a problem?
Not that I know of.
You might want to check that one.
Yeah.
Careful.
Hi, sweetheart. Bye. I'm busy today. Sorry, let's celebrate tomorrow.
Right. So, do we have any closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts. You've heard all my thoughts.
Don't hate the world.
Yeah, don't hate the world. Don't be a Christian. Be an atheist.
I agree.
Of course, everybody listening to this show is atheist.
I love everybody.
This show is really, us atheists talking to each other. As far as I know, we have no Christians listening at all. We've never gotten any email from them.
Not yet. However, we are trying to send out demo reels to radio stations.
That's true. That's true. We got big plans.
Okay, you want to call it a show?
Yeah, it's a show. Thanks, everybody. We will see you again in 2 weeks on the 5th, and we will leave you with XTC and a nice song extolling the virtues of not being a racist.
Bye.
Bye-bye.